Hi guys, welcome to or welcome back to my channel. So June is already coming to an end and today's video is another plan with me video and we'll be setting up my bullet journal for the month of July. And as you can see here, I'm starting a new notebook and the one I'm using is the Suki Sakura bullet journal from Notebook Therapy. So July is going to be a very busy month for me as my finals are approaching, so I wanted to have a setup that is very simple and doesn't take me a lot of time to set up. So for this month, I went for a very simple floral theme that was inspired by Pinterest. I saw these beautiful abstract line art drawings of flowers and leaves on Pinterest and they really caught my attention because they look so simple and yet so elegant. And to be honest, the drawings for this month were pretty easy to draw. I just used my Tombow dual brush pens to draw and color a pattern that kind of looks like a puddle of water. And for the flowers, I'm using my Tombow fudenosuke heart tip pen for it. And as for the color palette, I went for a warm autumn color palette, but you guys can change the colors according to your likings. Personally, I think it would look so cute if you guys use pastel colors. And now for the quilt page, I drew the puddle patterns much more closer to each other and I'm using my Tombow fudenosuke heart tip pen to draw the flower. I actually have this pen for quite some time but I don't really use it a lot because I'm always using my Pigma micron pen. But I'm glad I did for this month because I really like how I can control the thickness of the lines by just adjusting the pressure on the pen. And as for the quote, I chose this one which is Happiness Blooms From Within. I really like this quote as it reminds me that in order to be truly happy with your life, you need to create that happiness within yourself and you just can't rely on outside factors or other people to make you happy. And I guess that is all for the quote page. Now flipping over to the next page is my monthly calendar spread. You guys might be curious because you're not seeing me using the calendar box layout that I always use. Actually, I mentioned that I was bored of this calendar box layout in my last setup, so I decided to try a new layout for this month. This kind of layout just requires one page and I'm dividing the page in half by writing the days of the month. So for the left hand side, it's mainly for school stuffs like tests or assignment due dates, whereas for the right side, it's mainly for my YouTube channel, like for the deadline for me to edit a video or the day where I have to upload a video. So on the right page, I divided it into 3 sections. The first section is for my goals where I will be writing down small goals for me to work on for this month. And for the second session, it is for me to write down my monthly tasks. And lastly, for the third section, it is for me to track my social media growth, especially my YouTube channel and Instagram. I'm not sure if I'll like the layout as this is my first time trying this kind of layout, but there's really no harm done in trying new things for my bullet journal. Now, the next 2 pages over here are my mood tracker and habit tracker. This is my first time using a graph layout for both my mood and habit tracker. Normally, I'll do my mood tracker on the left page where I'll draw individual doodles and fill it in with different colors according to my mood. And as for the habit tracker, I normally do it on the right page and I will draw my individual habit trackers for it. But for this month, I wanted to experiment with new things, therefore I decided to change the layout a little bit. So for this month, the mood tracker is on the top part of the pages, whereas the habit tracker is on the bottom part of the pages. And if you don't know how to use this kind of graph layout, let me simply brief you about it. So as you can see here, the days are written horizontally while the moods and the habits are written vertically. And to fill it in is just like plotting a graph in math class. You can just use any symbols that you like a dot or a cross for it. And for the decoration, I'm using my Tombow fudenosuke heart tip pen to draw some flowers at both the corners of the pages. And for some additional touches, I'm using my uniball signo broad gold pen for it. Now moving on to the next page is my trusty expense tracker. This expense tracker has been with me for quite some time and I find it very useful to track my expenses and income. And yeah, this time I'm not drawing straight lines without a ruler because my hands are feeling a bit shaky these days and I don't really want squiggly lines in a new notebook. So yeah, I'm using a ruler for my setups. So yeah, back to our expense tracker. The layout is basically the same as my previous setups. We have 4 columns, which is the date, the description, the plus sign which is for income, and the minus sign which is for expenses. And at the bottom we have 2 boxes to total up the income and expenses at the end of the month. Now the page next to it is my favorite brain dump page. I normally use 2 pages for my brain dump page, but for this month I decided to just use 1 page for it. And yeah, I often get comments on how to use a brain dump page. For me, I normally use it for like a shopping list or a video planner, but you guys don't have to follow what I do because the brain dump page is just a place for you to declutter your mind and organize your thoughts. So now moving on to our weekly spread. I decided to plan all my weekly spread for the month, so in this video you are going to see 4 different kinds of weekly spreads layout that I personally like to use. So the first one is this 2-page vertical layout with 3 days on each page. And you might be wondering, there's 7 days a week and why is she doing 6 days? So for me, I actually don't have much to do on Saturdays and Sundays except for filming videos, so sometimes I just combine my Saturdays and Sundays together. And I also left some space for myself to write down events and tasks on the top. And I guess that's all for this weekly spread. So moving on to the next weekly spread layout is also a 2-page layout, but I allocated more space for my events, goals, tasks, and notes by drawing boxes on both sides of the pages. And for this layout, I didn't combine my Saturday and Sundays, so there are going to be 4 days on the left page and another 3 days on the right page. So there's going to be a total of 7 days, and as you can see here, I also allocated a space below Sunday for next week. This is a place for me to write down the tasks for next week if I haven't finished setting up the weekly spread for the following week. So the next weekly spread layout is a Dutch door layout. I remember when I first started bullet journaling, I was so afraid of using scissors on my bullet journal, so I didn't have the guts to try a Dutch door layout. But if you remember my May bullet journal setup, I finally mustered up my courage and did a Dutch door layout for that month. And I instantly fell in love with this layout because I realized I have so much planning space for each day, and there's also a lot of space for me to write down my events, goals, and tasks. And besides it being functional, I also like how fun it is to just flip the pages like I'm opening a door. So the last weekly spread for this month is also a Dutch door layout, but this time it is cut horizontally and it's basically the same with the vertical layout. So if you guys also want to try this Dutch door layout for yourself, make sure you plan ahead on how you will use the space on the pages and measure everything in detail, because once you cut the pages, there's really no turning back. So my advice is mark where you want to cut the pages before using the scissors. And the last spread over here is my monthly review. This is my first time I'm doing a monthly review, and I'm dividing mine into 6 sections, which is growth, achievement, productivity, family, happiness, and finances. So at the end of the month, I'm going to review all these aspects written on the pages. Like for example, my growth, maybe I can just write about how many subscribers that I gained in July. So this spread is basically just a place for me to reflect how I have done in this month. And I guess that's all for this month's setup. So here's the final flip through of my bullet journal setup for the month of July. It definitely feels so good to start a new notebook and to give myself a refresh. And I'm also very proud of myself for stepping out of my comfort zone and trying new things in my bullet journal. Honestly, I really like how the setup turned out, and I hope you guys enjoy it too. If you like this video, remember to subscribe and follow my Instagram at lootengstudio, and thank you for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video.